Welcome to Week 9. Tino, Mattia, and I will be discussing the Joel Block article, Abdullah's Blogging, a Generation 1.5 student enters the blogosphere. We are going to start off with a review of the outline for today. We will begin with a quick overview of the key terms from the article we felt were important to discuss. Next, we will do a review of the Block article, move into an exploration of core concepts, themes, and ideas. We will then outline strengths and weaknesses of blogging as a pedagogy, examine connections to current research and implications for practice, and finally finish off with our questions for this week's discussion.
So the first key term that we thought was important to touch on was the concept of the Generation 1.5 student. The term has been vaguely defined over the course of its usage. In the case of the article, it refers to immigrant students who move to the United States in their teens and enroll in middle school or high school. These students may feel strong identification with their new country, yet are native to another country. These students have varying degrees of ability with speaking, reading, and writing in their heritage language as well as in English. So essentially, they're students who move to the US, or I'm sure in some cases Canada, sometimes with limited proficiency in first language, and at the same time have not yet achieved the English proficiency necessary for the demands of an academic English. So they're still learning English. So they have the characteristics of first and second generation immigrants. Another key term we thought was important to address was the concept of the blogosphere. The blogosphere is an internet space where blogging occurs on a particular topic that is shared amongst other bloggers. In the case of the article, it refers to a pedagogical tool that allows students to blog their responses to certain questions, as opposed to writing them on paper as a traditional pedagogy. This allows information, ideas, entries, and responses to be continuously updated, shared, and reviewed by students and teachers alike. So this blogosphere represents an interlocking connections between the author or the writer, the reader, and any commenters. Within a blogosphere, there's pretty much like a social network that can sometimes be used as a gauge for public opinion. In the case of teacher pedagogy, blogging represents a different kind of teaching strategy that has both positive and negative effects, which we'll be talking about in the slides to come. Authorship can be the origin of a written piece of work or when you are the originator of a piece of work. In the case of the article, Abdullah and his classmates are establishing authorship over their own written works via blogs. With each blog entry, greater authorship is established, which can lead to further development of identity within the class. Along with authorship, notions of control and ownership arise when creating your own original piece of work. These ideas will be expanded upon in the coming slides. Critical literacy goes beyond the what and asks how, why, and so what. It goes beyond competency and comprehension and requires reflective insight. It requires a reader to see the implications of writing within real-world contexts. In the case of the article, blogging allows space for students to think critically about plagiarism and the policies regarding plagiarism that had been institutionalized by universities. A sort of metacognition was developed. Students had to think about how they thought about plagiarism. This paper focuses on the use of blogs in an L2 writing course concentrating on the controversies surrounding plagiarism. Blogs were used as a means of generating ideas for students' academic papers and as texts that could be cited in their papers. This paper analyzes the blogs of a Somali immigrant student and to explore the blog's relationship to the development of his academic writing. His purpose and strategies for using blogs are discussed both as a way of seeing the variety of writing strategies he developed in his blogs, as well as what his use of blogs could tell his teachers about the strengths and weaknesses of his writing. The paper attempts to improve our understanding of how blogging in L2 composition courses can contribute to the development of a student's writing as well as their critical thinking skills. One of the core concepts that we thought would be important to address was the blogosphere as a form of teacher pedagogy. Now, as a teacher strategy, blogs are easy to set up, they're easy to use, they're of little or no cost, and they're fairly accessible on behalf of the students, and they're normally free of any barriers preventing students to post or share their ideas. Now, we already discussed earlier how blogging, or a blogosphere, is essentially a community in itself, where people share ideas, they comment, it's open and accessible, people are able to reflect and further the cause of the blog. Working within a blogosphere also allows students to feel comfortable, as it eliminates possible barriers. For instance, feelings of isolation and communication barriers such as listening and speaking. Now, sometimes in a traditional classroom, there can be tension between groups with different ideas, different backgrounds, or higher or lower academic levels. Also, there is a tendency for the same number of people to continuously dominate the classroom by always giving the same responses or making other people feel inadequate in the classroom. So the blogosphere kind of eliminates those things. Also, the article touched on a term called literacy interrupted, and it was a term used for Generation 1.5 students, how they learn in different ways that aren't valued or aren't normally touched upon by using traditional textbook style learning. Also, the blogosphere fosters personal styles of writing as well. It also allows people to collaborate, debate, share, and support their own ideas. Students can express their own opinions using a variety of styles and genres. They are able to project themselves as real people in a virtual world. When generating arguments, students can use information from other entries to support their statements. So this kind of begs the question, has blogging changed what it means to be an author? And lastly, it transforms students into contributors of information rather than just consumers of information, which can be empowering.
Generally speaking, the term authorship refers to the origin or originator of a written work. The author of a text is closely related to the reliability of the information reported. Yet, in many forms of computer-mediated discourse, such as generalist websites and social media, hypertext, which is the references to other text that the reader can immediately access, seems to have greater importance. Interestingly, blogging has changed the concept of authorship, restoring the centrality of the author of a text. In fact, blogs revolve around the author or a group of authors, and the name of the blog is associated with the name of its author or authors. This tool is a platform to express ideas and voice opinions. Communication between the author and the readers is more fluid. The author is able to reach an extended audience, and readers can connect with the author in an easier and more direct way through comments visible to everyone. Moreover, this form of online discourse fosters a collaborative process of making meaning. From a political standpoint, publishing one's ideas is nothing more than exercise a democratic right and freedom, regardless of one's socioeconomic status. As Block argued, there are mainly two types of blogs: issues-oriented blogs and identity blogs. In the case of the Block article, Abdullah and his classmates establish authorship over their own written works through the use of blogs. With each blog entry, students gained greater authorship, which led to further development of their identity as writers within the class and beyond. They also presented a more personal image of themselves to the other students. Blogging represented for these students a modern tool with which exercise writing skills, read the work of their colleagues, and comment through descriptive feedback in order to acquire a better proficiency in English. Exposure to a form of writing that is more academic is key to academic success. Authors gain a sense of control and ownership over their written pieces, which can be harder to obtain when trying to fit particular styles and ideas into traditional academic essays, especially for English language learners. Again, it makes authors contributors of information on the internet and not just consumers of it. Using a blog in the teaching practice has its strengths and weaknesses. Starting with the pros, students may show higher levels of interest, engagement, and participation. Moreover, their confidence as writers in English may increase adopting a tool that is easy to set up and has low costs. An interesting excerpt from Block's paper is that by becoming bloggers, students increase the amount of time they spend writing, reading, and generating ideas, as well as demonstrating a variety of complex rhetorical strategies. This helps pupils reconceptualize themselves as writers and enhance their metacognition. In fact, as Block argued, students recognize that what they wrote in their blogs could also be used in classroom assignments, which entailed the use of academic English. Blogging is a tool that helps students negotiate meaning among various forms of literacy. It extends the target audience as well as the learning experience outside the classroom and beyond the regular school hours. Blogging creates a learning environment that fosters discussion and where feedback from peers and the teacher is a crucial component. As Gebhardt, Shin, and Sager argued, this may change the power dynamics within the classroom and may help pupils negotiate their identity and status. Blogging fosters multimodality using different texts such as traditional text, pictures, videos, and hyperlinks, and promotes vocabulary building. For the reasons described above, blogging promotes 21st century competencies such as critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, and innovation. There are also a number of cons to consider. Spending extensive time on the internet may hinder concentration and contribute to distraction. Therefore, we need to adapt different teaching practices and diverse materials and devices to meet the needs of the English language learners. Moreover, blogging poses the issue of information reliability, which is a general concern when students draw information from the internet. In the primary junior division, privacy may be a concern when using blogs that can be read by a wider audience than the school community. Furthermore, a number of researchers are in disagreement with Block and argued that the personal style using blogs might hinder student skills in academic writing. Lastly, in low socioeconomic areas, blogging may be an issue due to the lack of access to technology and lack of cultural practices of using Web 2.0 tools. Therefore, educators need to be mindful of equitable access to this kind of resource. From our analysis, though, we can affirm that the advantages of using a blog in our teaching practice outweigh the disadvantages.
In reviewing the literature, there were 4 key findings that connected the article to current research. These included student-centered approach, audience and voice, collaboration, and benefits to relevant literacy skills. The article and current research discuss the ability of blogging in education to create a more student-centered environment. In this way, blogging provides students more control over their learning, positively impacting motivation and interest not only in writing, but in all areas of learning. This concept of student-centered approach also utilizes students' current interest and habits of using technology in their everyday life and brings that into the classroom setting. Another key finding which emerges from the literature as well as the article is the notion of audience and voice. It is suggested that a blog brings the audience out of the abstract. Students become aware that peers, teachers, and a broader community will be reading and interacting with their content in a public and continuously developing forum. This awareness of audience also contributes to the development and awareness of students' voice in their writing. The use of a blog provides opportunities for students to experiment with voice and determine and negotiate authorship. Collaboration is very evident in the article and current research examining blogging in the classroom. It is suggested that the use of blogs encourages collaboration and improves student interactions. Providing a framework for the use and intention of blogs in education highlights the importance of communication, interaction, development of ideas, and feedback in learning. This promotes a collaborative environment. The article, as well as current literature, outlines the various benefits blogging has on literacy and related skills. This is especially true for students with areas of opportunity in language due to learning disabilities or those with English as a second or third language. It is stated in literature that blogging in the classroom provides a space for modeling and developing processes such as critical thinking, reflection, questioning, and social practices, all important factors for the development of literacy. Blogs have been shown to improve written performance by allowing students to be subject-specific experts in their blogging space. This approach provides greater assessment information for teachers and can support the development of literacy-related skills in students. Blogging is a tool educators may consider to help students develop traditional literacy skills as well as 21st century competencies. Engaging in multiple literacies through new media is also a way to recognize, assess, and foster students' multimodal, multicultural, and multilingual funds of knowledge relevant to their lives. This is seen in student-led or classroom-based blogs, which aim to showcase student learning, mostly from student perspective, but can also include teacher perspective as well. Blogging promotes collaboration, is cross-curricular, showcases learning through digital portfolios, improves literacies, gives students a voice and control over their learning, provides access to a global audience, encourages digital citizenship, encourages critical thinking skills, and provides a home-to-school connection. There are considerable implications for the use of blogs when working with students who have additional needs. Blogging is a method which can be used to better support the varied needs of students, creating a more cohesive community, greater opportunities for support, and connections and knowledge. Learning with blogs is a dynamic way for students to control their learning. It revolutionizes the way they view reading and writing, presenting it as a design challenge in which words, images, and formats serve to express their ideas. All resources will be posted in a special folder on Pepper called Let's Share. We will be posting classroom blogs, student-led blogs, as well as how-to videos and articles for incorporating blogs in the classroom. We encourage you to share your favorite blog-related resources. All questions will be posted to Pepper for this week's discussion. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we look forward to the discussion this week.